He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of fair Gotham, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever, the show that analyses and investigates Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever, 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, John Parker. Hello.
And I am reaching way back and asserting myself. It's me, Niall McGowan, the co-host.
Woo! A co-host? I don't recall ever having a co-host. It's most unorthodox.
I don't recall ever having owned a droid.
No. Well, much like Obi-Wan Kenobi in that line, apparently I am lying. I am used to Niall being here. But and we are joined once again by Monday's guests. We have Claire York and Lal Gall.
Hello.
Hello.
Party time. Yes, and this is minute 59. And the minute starts with a casino heist, and it ends with Sassy Al. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Alfred just not helping at all at the end of that minute. This is like, I really wanted to see Bruce Wayne's reaction to like, hey, shut the hell up, old man. Like, it's, you just, what are you, you're just sitting here gloating. Like, you're not contributing to this investigation at all.
Well, I don't blame him. You know, he's been screwed around all of his life. He's been made to look after this little rich boy.
Yeah, maybe he's taking a page out of Dick Grayson's book. He's got the kind of like, I want to be young and carefree again, like Master Grayson.
Dick Grayson's radicalized Alfred.
Just like, oh, shut up, Alfred. Just like, call me Al, sir.
That's what the cool kids are calling me these days.
Call me Slick AL.
But yes, we are back initially at the casino heist in progress. And Two-Face is showing the Riddler how to punch. He's going to punch someone. And he gives it a shot and almost breaks his own damn hand.
What? This was the thing I was alluding to at the end of the last minute. What is with this guard? Like, he doesn't look panicked. He kind of looks like he's not even taking in what's happening. And he's just kind of... Like, he's an even worse actor than the old man underneath the Excelsior sign. Like...
He is, yeah.
Is it definitely a man? It's not a mannequin.
No, it's a man.
Oh, it's definitely a guy, yeah.
That's so weird.
He just does
His
not
hand's
move.
not even tied behind his back. I know you can't see his hands, but you can tell from his stance that he's not tied up or anything. He's just standing there like, don't care.
Yeah, yes. I mean, you could argue, like, maybe, this isn't in the movie, right, but they could have put it in that the Riddler's used the box to, like, make all these people docile, the security guards, you know, but he hasn't.
Well, that is a thing that's in the scripts.
Yeah.
That there's another sequence where they rob an opera. And, the Riddler uses the box on the entire audience, and then they just go around and steal all their stuff without there being any kind of issue.
That's what this should have been.
But so, you know, you're referring that, John, though, from having been like, okay, well, we're looking at this minute by minute. They need to explain that in the film, because otherwise it just looks like a really useless security guard just kind of standing there, not really taking on what's happening.
And he doesn't even react when he gets feebly punched. I know it obviously was a bad punch, but still, I'd be like, God, what are you doing?
I'm still not convinced it's a guy. I think he couldn't make it that day. They've just replaced him with a mannequin, dressed it up, and it's there.
He does have a kind of yellowish glow.
Yeah.
Like, I think because later on when you see people under the influence of the box, they do have this kind of glow around them. And maybe that's what you're supposed... But yeah, we can infer that now, having gone and looked into it. But you should be making that more obvious. That, like, yeah, the way the Riddler's getting away with all this is that he can just go in, plug the thing in, and then he can do whatever the hell he wants. Like, it's...
Yeah.
Maybe it's that thing where if you tense yourself, it doesn't hurt as much when you get punched. Maybe they're trying to do that. They're like, right, settle in. It won't hurt. Is it Houdini who did that? And then when he got killed, it was supposed to be that he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
What a ridiculous... He wasn't ready. You're supposed to be a master at this. Come on.
Yeah, but the person just went, aha, boom, didn't they?
Yeah, just wanted an easy way out. He wanted to kill himself, but he also didn't want people to think he was doing that, so he just got somebody to kill him for him.
Oh, and maybe he'd already tried to kill himself. That's what all those sort of tricks were.
Yeah.
And they backfired, and he's like, I cannot escape this mortal coil.
Yeah.
I need assistance from an unwitting accomplice.
But yeah, so then we got the a comic beat where Two-Face is trying to he's trying to teach the Riddler how to be a tough guy, and then the Riddler, of course, then punches the guard and then hurts his own hand.
I love that though, because that would be me if I was in a fight. I wouldn't be good at punching. I'd be like a scrappy fighter, just going wild, like ah.
I think he puts his thumb inside his fist as well, which obviously is a sure way to get injured.
Yeah, see, I would have done the same thing until my Tai Chi teacher was explaining a concept of punching, because you got to do a lot of punches and stuff in Tai Chi. And he was like, no, never, ever, ever do that. And as soon as he explained it, it's like, of course, it's so obvious. Why would you do that? But people do.
It feels more natural, I think, but it feels more awkward to have the thumb on the outside, but obviously don't break your thumb.
Yeah, because you would snap that in two, surely.
But there's the thing, because this ends the scene on like a laugh, basically. You're like, oh yeah, they're going at massive crime spree, but it's kind of safe and kooky, and it's like, hey, the Riddler can't even punch a guy, like wah, 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 wah. Though the original ending for this scene went a little differently. I don't know if they ever shot this. Like, it's in the novelization, and I've seen several websites saying like this was a scene that they actually shot, and it just got cut out. And I've never seen any evidence that it was actually filmed. There's evidence that, like, I think you can even get in the trailer where the Riddler does this and then Two-Face goes over and then just decks the guy and he goes down instantly. But they cut that because I guess they just thought it was funnier to end on the Riddler going ow. In the novelization they write it like, so the Riddler tries it a couple of times and then Two-Face just gets a little fed up and it's like, okay, and he just walks away. And then the Riddler decides to go, like, he says to the guard, I'm so sorry, I'm just not a violent person. I need to practice. And then he takes out his cane, and he goes, batter up. And then he starts beating the crap out of the guy with his cane. And like viciously beating him, like friggin' like a Clockwork Orange or something.
Oh my god, that would have been great.
Speaking of a Clockwork Orange, though, that it does have an influence on his outfit, doesn't it? That bowler hat, he is rocking a bit of a Clockwork Orange.
Oh, totally. Hell yeah.
Literally orange hair as well, yeah. So,
well, he's got a cane.
Yeah, so I guess maybe it's like, I think I kind of would have liked that because it, the whole thing was to make this lighter and more like acceptable for kids and stuff. And I think that would have been a good beat in the fact that it makes the Riddler look ridiculous, but then it ends on the fact that he's an actual threat because he can, not only could he apparently mesmerize these people with his device, he might not be able to punch you, but he can like cave a guy's whole head in with his cane if he needs to. So, but then I guess within the middle of this whole montage, it's like, well, where do you put that though? Like, it ends in such a downer note. You can't just zip to them in the car with all the tiaras on and stuff again and make it look like, it's all fun and games again,
You'd maybe have to put it later in like in a different height. Well, like they do the opera one in the script, don't they, in the draft and that. So you could do something similar around there.
Yeah,
because there is a bit in that draft that I do love at the Opera House. It's when the Riddler, he's sort of got everyone mesmerized again, as you say, and he grabs people's mouths and starts like making them talk because they can't move.
Is he like meh, 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 kind of thing?
Yeah, and he's singing as well. He's like, oh, but all I want is to take all your jewels, oh, and then he like grabs a woman's mouth and he's like, no, oh, you villain, don't take my jewels, oh no. He's like, I will, no you won't, I will. It's like doing a whole bit like that.
I imagine they'd cut that though, because they're just like, don't let Jim Carrey use people as mannequins. Like, he ain't gonna like hold back.
No,
like, he's gonna assume that.
But in Ace Ventura as well,
Yeah, we need the Riddler talking from his butt. That would be fantastic. Why not? They put in little nods to his movies anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we did have the nod. I know that'll be in next week's show. Where like in the novelization they have him literally say "somebody stop me" and stuff. Yeah. But
I think it is very Mask, this one though. That like as in, this performance. I can see sort of vestiges of the Mask in there, but I was never a huge Jim Carrey fan growing up. weirdly, because I know at the time he was huge. I didn't watch Ace Ventura, and I didn't really like Jim. I found him quite annoying, but I did love The Mask. Yeah, I did really enjoy.
Well, I mean that is using his talents in the right way, I think, because that's, it's a living cartoon, and he is a cartoon.
Also, he is actually quite serious in places in that, and you feel that. You feel sorry for. Is it Stanley Ipkiss? Is that what he called?
Yeah.
You feel quite sorry for him as well as because the mask is taking over. So I think he plays that. It's like almost a nod to what he does in the future with his more serious roles.
And now he's going a little bit back to the well, isn't he? Like, I'm going to do a bit some wacky stuff again.
Yeah. To be fair, though, within watching Sonic, he was the most enjoyable element. And I've said in this show multiple times, like, I think, if I had been a fully formed adult back in the 90s, I would have really hated Jim Carrey.
Same.
Like, I would not have been able to sanction his buffoonery, quite frankly. But seeing him now, though, like, I've not seen the guy do this kind of wacky crap in a while. I was like, yeah, okay, this is fun.
I kind of miss it. It's a simpler time.
It's just like, somebody's got to make this movie entertaining. God knows it won't make itself. So
He is good at it as well. At the end of the day, like Robin Williams they're good at that stuff. Even though they're good actors, they are good at that stuff.
They're very similar actors, I think.
Robin Williams a bit more endearing, I think, because I don't know, he was silly, but it was also quite witty, I felt, whereas Jim Carrey's was a bit more slapstick.
Yeah, that's true.
Amped up the zany.
They're slightly different parts of the scale, but they've also got a lot of similarities, haven't they?
Yeah.
This whole week actually has got a series of things that they seem to have either filmed or that was scripted or the idea was floating around to put in this montage, and a lot of it, well, all of it is cut. One point there was we find out specifically in the novelization they bring up a point of the Riddler is continually misleading Batman throughout this whole crime spree, and how he's doing it is that he has a little device, because it's the Riddler, and of course he loves his little devices. So Two-Face says to him, "Oh, you better be right about this." And the Riddler says, "Oh, I am. Been tracking all the bands for weeks now. I'm absolutely 100% positive that I've tapped into the private band Gordon has reserved for Batboy, his priority channel, his email, the Bat phone, if you will. All electronic, and if it's electronic, then it's mine." And basically, so the Riddler is able to give Batman tip-offs to go places, like the opera, which is what he does in that draft, where they've either been there already and are long gone. So the thing when Batman shows up at the opera, there's a little riddle left in the middle of the stage with it's a pair of hands clapping, basically.
Oh, but also that would make him feel like a failure. Like, I got here too late. That's the worst thing to Batman.
And the other one that they actually did film, and you can get in the deleted scenes on the DVD, is where they send Batman to the Curl Up and Dye hair salon. So, he's informed on the computer, there's a robbery in progress.
I both love that name and feel slightly nervous.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't think I'd visit, but it's kind of clever.
And he zooms the car down there, and he has a whole scene of Batman booting it into this. It looks like a big warehouse or something, and then it comes out and it's just a load of women sitting in a very colorful hair salon, and they just all turn around and burst out laughing, and Batman's just kind of standing there looking like a numpty, basically. Yes, it's supposed to be this. I don't know why they took that out. I guess maybe they're like, well, I don't know, we want Batman to have some dignity. I guess it's a bit humiliating for him.
Yeah, you can't make him look too stupid. He can't be gotten the best of every minute of the movie.
I do love the bit in the van where they're in the tiaras and the it's so camp and playful, and I don't know. I just love Tommy Lee Jones with a little pearl earring hanging off.
Yeah,
I love that it's not actually mentioned either. It's just there. They don't have to say, "Oh yeah, you're looking at a certain way," or act camp or anything. It's just, we're in this stuff and we're rocking it.
Yeah, but you could imagine it as a panel in a comic book almost. Totally. Them their heads thrown back, laughing, and all the sparkles on.
Yeah, Riddler's won the pageant. Yes,
of course. According to Schumacher's his commentary, This is Jim Carrey's idea, was to have them wearing tiaras and stuff as well.
I mean, that shows
course it was.
that shows that he is smart. He knows what he's doing, because that makes the scene there. If it was just them cackling, holding jewels, it's like, oh, we've seen that in Batman. This is funny.
Yeah, exactly. Him counting the cash isn't. You don't really care about that. You're just sitting there going, "Look at them, they look great."
Yeah, and to see Tommy Lee Jones in all those beautiful jewels.
That raises the question: did Two-Face have his ears pierced already? And if not, was there also a sequence where like Edward Nygma was like heating up a needle, and then they were sitting like a couple of 16-year-old girls in their bedroom?
They might just make really posh clip-ons.
Yeah, could be. But my headcanon, Claire, they had to have a whole sequence where Two-Face was like, okay, do it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, there was a hot needle, of course.
The thing is, Tommy Lee Jones's own ear looks kind of melted in itself.
Yeah, he's got very big lobes.
Now, there's no way Harvey Dent had pierced ears. So I actually think Two-Face has a piercing on that evil side that Spice sorts out.
Yeah.
And he didn't on the other side. So that they've had to do what you described, Niall, for that one ear.
You can see him with a flesh tunnel on the evil side, you know.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
If they were a big thing in the 90s. Oh my God. They're very, even though they weren't, they look like if that was a thing in the 90s, people would have dug that. That would have been huge. Yeah.
Tribal cultural appropriation.
Yeah, exactly. I could imagine someone in The Matrix to have them.
It's a very earring-heavy minute, this, actually, because in the next bit, don't you see, like, Chris O'Donnell's earring?
Yeah, it's all shiny.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
It's got a little, like, I don't know, it feels extra shiny, like it's either just shiny metal or he's got some kind of little jewel going on.
Do you think this is a Joel Schumacher fetish for earrings on men?
Yeah, would not be surprised, quite frankly.
You know, whatever floats your boat.
I think that man finds everything sexual and erotic.
You see the newswoman, she's got earrings in. I just feel like everyone should have had earrings in this scene. Just like almost like a little joke, like shoehorned in.
Or Alfred as well.
Yeah. Just go.
Just in one ear.
Yeah. Bruce.
Oh, Alfred would have to wear like a very elegant earring as well. Like it probably would be. It'd be from that diamond you were talking about in the last minute. John.
Yeah. He'll have been given it by some prince in person.
I used to look after the Duchess, and I was awarded this for my duties in laundry.
He did say he worked at Buckingham Palace at one point in the film.
I love as well the way they lose count of the money they've stolen, because this would also be me. I don't know how the hell I closed up shop when I worked in retail. I can barely count, but I never got it wrong.
So you can count.
Well,
I can't. I don't know. I developed a weird technique that my manager taught me, that you can estimate the amount of pennies and get it within 1 penny. Like you're never off by more than 1p. It's bizarre. You just look at them and you go, it's about like 90p or whatever.
I feel like that's a dangerous game to play.
Yeah.
It worked every time. It's bizarre, because he would come and double check and he'd be like, yep. I'm like, yeah. Or I'd double check him and it'd be like, yeah.
That seems like that's up there with like those guys on like Storage Wars when they buy the thing in the bin and they go in like, oh, that table, that's worth about $500.
Somehow they know.
Yeah, that lamp, that's worth about $600. Like, oh, that pair of shoes worth $1,000. It's like, where the hell are you getting this from? You're just pulling numbers out of the goddamn sky.
Expertise, Niall. Expertise. I never ever messed it up. But no, I can't. This is the thing. All my jobs have a lot to do with numbers, and I can't count. You know, I work in a hospital dispensing medication. I need to do like I don't know, 2 months worth of medication in a blister pack where they're having like this tablet 3 times a day, this tablet twice a day, this one's only once every other morning. You know, and you got to count them all out. Barely ever wrong somehow.
But yeah, then so I do, you know, I enjoy these guys' happiness. I do love the, you know, I lost count.
Oh, that's sweet of you, Niall. You're enjoying their happiness.
Yeah, I like seeing people enjoy themselves, you know?
That's why we do this podcast. You don't get that
in Batman a lot. Like, you got the Joker, he was having a good time. And then after that, not really. Like, even the Penguin was kind of crotchety old git half the time.
Yeah, that's my favorite Batman movie, but it's miserable most of the time in the best way. But
of course, then, yeah, we cut to the GNN their live news coverage. Tragically, no longer action news from the first movie. Those action news has gone the way of the past after that one, anchor died, and then everyone saw how ugly the guy was when he wasn't wearing makeup. I guess they're like, cancelled. Get
it
Gene
off
and Heather
here.
on. Jesus.
Why wasn't our Patreon show called Action News?
No, it's not too late, John. It's never too late.
It is. We've branded it now. It's Gotham Beat.
No, I think every time now I have to announce, like, we're on Gotham Beat. It's just like,
Gotham
should have been
Beat's
action
better.
news, damn it.
Or could have just been GNN.
Is it meant to be like CNN?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Of course it is. That's a silly question.
The announcer, she brings up like, once again hit by the green suited menace, and it's like there was one guy there in a green suit. There was also Two-Face and all his goons. What are they, chopped liver? Like, I would be more like, no, Two-Face's gang did a bunch of stuff, and some random asshole who didn't get the color coding for the uniforms also was there.
Hey, he's wearing my favorite color. This is my kind of villain. I don't care if he went against the color scheme.
Yeah, but that'd be like some random guy was also seen outside. That must have been his gang. Like, it was Two-Face. Two-Face is the threat. He's always been the threat. He was the guy who nearly blew up the goddamn circus like a week ago. He's the problem. Just the fact that there's another fella there, that doesn't mean it's his gang. That's not the green-suited menace.
If you want to engage the audience, though, you would be like, here's the new guy. They want to be like, look, there's another guy we haven't told you about yet.
True. Americans are all about selling the story, aren't they? So
Exactly. Two-Face is old news.
They're just like, Two-Face. God, I hear so much about that guy. But like, what about some guy in a green suit? Now tune in about that.
that would have been a good side plot with Two-Face getting really annoyed with getting overlooked, so he sort of turns on the Riddler. Not necessarily sides with the Bat, but also turns on the Riddler. Actually, that's basically the plot of General Hux in Rise of Skywalker.
That's at the end. Just Two-Face appears to Dick Grayson. I'm the spy. It's like, what? Oh, there was a spy subplot. I forgot all about that.
I know, a very underdeveloped spy subplot.
That was his whole part of that movie. It was just like, and then he's blasted off screen. And you're like, that's the end of him? Like, what the hell?
One of the coolest characters from this trilogy.
Yeah, it's just really unceremoniously murdered by a guy we just met. And if it wasn't Richard E. Grant, I'd be like, what the guy?
If it was any other actor, I'd be really angry. But because it's Richard E. Grant, I cut him some slack.
Because then, we have the female newscaster talks about, they go green-suited menace. And then to further stoke my fires of ire.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say because I have the same note. Go ahead.
Well, the second guy comes in and he's just like, because he's left puzzle-based clues at his crimes, which has now got like the Gotham tabloids dubbing him the Riddler.
Yes.
And it's like, he already called himself the Riddler in the previous scene. He announced that he was the Riddler. Is it a coincidence that they're also calling him the Riddler? Or is it just like he was also writing on the clues, by the way, I'm called the Riddler?
That's
just
what I thought. Like Jack the Riddler
Riddler was
style.
here, somewhere.
But this would have been the prime moment for like the thing I've always wanted that I mentioned in previous minutes of, the Riddler should be trying to call himself something more clever. So he should be coming in saying, like, his name's not actually Edward Nygma in this, in these circumstances. But his chosen alias is Mr. Edward Nygma because it can be abbreviated to Mr. Enigma. And he's like, oh, I'm so clever. And then so he's really hoping that the press are going to call him that. And then when they keep dubbing him the Riddler, it should be really getting on his nerves and stuff. This would have been the scene to do it, where they're calling him the Riddler.
Or like the Confuddler or something, something like that. And then they're like,
the Confounder.
Like, exactly, something like that, where it's like, yeah, this is really smart. And they're like, the Riddler. All right.
Yeah. There's also a very similar villain in the comics to the Riddler called the Clue Master. So they could have been just like, they're calling him the Clue Master or something.
That would be a funny little joke, actually. A little nod, tying it in. That would be something they would do now.
All these things that bugged me, they're addressed in the novelization, weirdly enough. The news anchors, they are blaming Two-Face. And they're saying, yes, Two-Face, reign of terror continues. And then they're sent a message. And a graphic of a question mark appears on screen with the Riddler's voice And then the Riddler himself says, "Blame Two-Face? I demand equal acclaim for my offenses.
No.
Recognition for my wrongdoings. Credit for my crimes. Gotham has a new bad boy in town, and his name is the Riddler." And it's
He should have
I
said,
get
"All
that.
hail the new king in town."
Exactly, yeah. Green, black and white, green and green. Not even black and white, green and black.
Yeah.
Green and green. The funkiest thing you ever green.
It's pretty funky.
But yeah, so I think I would have preferred that, because it's like, well, he is at least announcing that he is the Riddler. And it's more ominous a threat as well when the crook sends in a message going like, I am directly, addressing the public and saying, here I am,
Well, it's like Jack the Ripper again, isn't it? Like, I would love that if he was, signing it off as the Riddler, and he'd written it in like, like a ransom note kind of style. All of his letters, he's sending them into Gordon. That'd be cool.
Well, that's the thing, though. They do mention that apparently he is also sending other riddles. But I guess they're like, oh, we couldn't be bothered writing them.
It's too much hassle. Just
Yeah.
wait a few years and that Niall McGowan guy will do it.
Is it like they're gonna? What's the Riddler's theme in those ones? Because at least with the ones he's sending to Bruce Wayne, that's leading up to his identity. But is he doing this? Is he leaving the same clues at his crimes, or is he just doing like, I stole a boat, so the riddle is about a boat? What's the idea?
Or they're just nonsense to confuse the police. The ones for Bruce are the only proper ones.
Because when the Riddler leaves clues, when he leaves riddles, it's always to entice Batman. But he's already sending Bruce Wayne stuff. I know, maybe it should have been... I don't know, could they have done, like, maybe he was sending half the riddles to Bruce Wayne and half were left for Batman, and he was hoping... He didn't know the two of them were the same person, but it was ending up with the same... By sheer coincidence, it also was spelling out his name or something. I don't know.
And that's how he figured it out. My God.
I have to say, is riddles that his riddle that he does leave for Batman. It's meticulously, it's intricate. Like this pop-up thing that he's given him. Like, he's really, really spent time on that.
Yeah.
It looks like a child's pop-up book.
It does. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's very professional.
Yeah.
I do wonder now. Well, to be fair, like his previous riddles, they were getting better. But I wonder now that he's like, yeah, you had sugar and spice back in, Two-Face's hovel or whatever. Maybe, yes, Sugar's taking care of all the outfits. Maybe Spice is really into, like... Because this looks like something, it's all swords and kind of gothic, weird imagery and stuff. Maybe Spice is really into her arts and crafts, and she's like, I'll make a riddle for you. What do you want it to say?
Those pop-up bits that are the hardest to do as well, the ones where it comes out in the middle of the page. Because when I did my GCSEs, I had to make a pop-up book for graphic products, and that was the hardest one to do. And I had to make like a house that popped up out the middle.
Wow.
Basically, this is your work. You submitted it
Yeah, that's
to
true.
the film.
Did you do a series of them, Claire, and then they added up when you put them all together to be like letters of the alphabet, and then there were numbers, and then there was it spelt out Miss Claire York or something?
You had to sort of come up with a theme for it and do it like it was a children's book with the story and everything. And so it was actually like a full book but you had to sort of show the different types of pop-up you could do. So you had all sorts of different things going on. Yeah, it was quite cool.
Fair.
But my test one actually worked better than the real thing, which was a bit sad.
No.
Oh yeah, you can actually buy that prop as well, by the way. That riddle, you can buy that online at the moment.
What
The one that they use in that one with the knights and you get.
Strange.
It was online.
Well,
Do you know how much it was?
Crazy.
It was.
Yeah,
let me look. I've got it on a tab here somewhere.
Oh, nice.
Like, when you say online, like where, like eBay? Or...
The Prop Gallery is the place, and
Oh, it's the actual prop.
yeah, and
I
it's
thought you meant like some
£795.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not bad. Like, I would almost, if I had money like to knock about, I would love to own this riddle because it is incredibly well made. Like,
Well, if we get enough money on the Patreon, I know what we're buying.
There's so many levels of detail though that are like, because in the backdrop he's got this like futuristic looking city, and it's kind of like a checkboard pattern on everything, and just all the guys like they're all tied in like the big bloody swords. It's so well done, Edward Nygma's a busy guy. Like, I can't imagine he's doing this himself. Like, he must have given this is outsourced to somebody else. Like, because that would take you weeks to make that thing.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's supposed to be kind of genius, though, isn't he? So maybe he's just always been really good at that. He's been doing it his whole life. That's his little side project thing.
Yeah, he seems like someone who would be into this kind of thing. He seems like he would play Dungeons and Dragons and go LARPing and be into all these kind of weird arty kind of pursuits.
But I don't think he has any friends, so I think he's more likely to do something like pop-up because that doesn't require anyone else, whereas the other things you described, you need friends for those.
That's true. That's true. Well, these days you can actually play them online, but he would need to make friends online.
Yeah, but in 1995, not so much.
No.
We'll say I love the design of the knights in it. They weirdly, but like last minute we were saying, oh, it seems like as if Joel Schumacher is making like an outside comic reference to Marvel with the Excelsior thing. These guys look a lot. If anyone has read 2000 AD, and of course Judge Dredd.
Oh yeah,
we recall that there's the characters of the Dark Judges.
Oh, well, they're one of the few things I know about it. Yeah.
Oh, they're great. I'm stunned that. Well, to be fair, they've tried making Judge Dredd movies, and they've always, despite being like both of them, to varying degrees, are both pretty good. The Dark Judges are something you have to build up to, and they just haven't had the momentum to get them on film yet.
Well, allegedly, they did want to put them in a movie if. The current series I say current, Dredd, if that continues, they were going to try and bring them in at some point, but...
I think, it was going to be, the first one would be like a realistic-ish villain, and then I think it was going to be the Angel family, we're going to be the second one, and then the climax of the trilogy would be the Dark Judges and stuff. But the Dark Judges, they're like supernatural judges, that, through mystic, like, I think it's called like the Weird Sisters or something are involved, and all this kind of stuff. But there's one of them, because they all have themes, so there's Judge Death is the head of it. And there's a guy called Judge Fear, and his helmet looks near enough exactly like this helmet. Like this kind of little knight's thing with the wings coming out the side. And Judge Fear's whole thing was that he was the best because he had a cape. So he automatically was way cooler. But he used to open up the front of his, the front of his helmet, and then whatever you saw was the most terrifying thing, ever conceived.
So he's
Yeah, but the thing is, you would instantly die from the fear. Like, you'd see it, and then it was just like, your heart couldn't take it, and you would instantly die.
Oh, that's a bit like a Japanese horror character or something.
He always had a classic interaction with Judge Dredd, where he's like, gaze into the face of fear, and Judge Dredd's like, gaze into the fist of dread, and just punches him square in the face. But yeah, I just wondered, like, looking at that, I was like, it reminds me instantly of Judge Fear. And I was like, I wonder if, again, Joel Schumacher's a comic book guy. Maybe he's like just saying to the set people, like, have fun with it. You want to throw in a reference or something, as long as we don't have to clear it. If it's not overt, then we're fine.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Like the Goosebumps show.
Yes.
It's like something that a kid would stumble across, and they'd get like drawn into it,
and they'd go into
alive,
it,
or they'd come alive. It's got that very 90s kiddie playful thing about it.
It's like a young Ryan Gosling has stumbled across a riddle, and him and his girlfriend Jack Bauer's daughter from 24 or something have to figure it out.
Hell yeah!
But they're both like 12.
That's a bit like Jumanji.
Yeah, like that kind of idea. The one I'm thinking of is Welcome to Horrorland.
You remember the name?
The Goosebumps. So it's the standout Goosebumps one where there's all like monsters in the like a horror theme park. It kind of reminds me of that. It's also a bit Power Rangers, like the Power Rangers movie.
The only thing I remember about Goosebumps is I liked it, and I think there was one with an evil leprechaun. That's about it.
I don't remember that.
I think I liked Goosebumps at the time, but looking back, it's like, ooh, that was ripping off a lot of stuff.
Who cares?
That's basically an author who had license to be like, I can just rip off stuff, and it's like I'm introducing kids to horror tropes, so it doesn't matter if it's from something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah, well, the kids couldn't watch like Freddy Krueger or some
they
kids.
did,
but it's a way of them being introduced to that.
So I think it ripping stuff off's a good thing in a way.
But yeah. So then of course we'd be remiss if we didn't mention what the riddle actually says. So it's the 8 of us go forth, not back, to protect our king from a foe's attack. So Bruce and Alfred are going to have to mull over this one.
Oh, surely that's something to do with pawns, right?
Yeah. But,
I mean...
These men are pawns.
Yes!
Sorry, it's
are you
an
just setting
Ishtar
up Lol,
reference.
John? Is that what you're doing there? It's like...
It was a setup, and Lol hit it out the park. Ishtar references.
Ishtar minutes.
Yeah, well, Alex Robinson keeps joking with Pete the Retailer that they're going to do that. I put a price of 20,000 dirhams on their heads.
But before we go off though from Wayne Manor mantelpiece, I was really curious, and I know it's not, but like, is that the same fireplace where Bruce had his date with Selena Kyle?
No.
But I don't think it would be, because that fire was like half the size of the house.
Yeah.
So this looks much more subdued.
Plus, this is Wayne Manor. He's got like 50 fireplaces. He's probably never seen this one before.
One thing I wanted to ask actually was about how the TV's already on before Bruce walks into the room. Did you notice that? Like, is it because Alfred's like gone out to make some tea and he's left it on, or what? Because he just
the rich
walks
for you,
in.
Claire. Just doesn't care about his electricity bill. He's like, oh, I'll leave the TV on all day.
All day, all night.
To be honest, I very rarely turn anything off, so I'm guilty of it.
Well, that's why our bills are so high.
Well, to be fair though, it
Should
could
be paying more.
They also have an unruly young pup around the house as well, so it could be like, damn it, Master Dick, I told you to turn off the TV.
And he really likes watching GNN.
Oh yeah, all the kids love the news. You know,
that'd be great. Like, yeah, around the sofa, though, there's like loads of like sweet wrappers and like crisp packets and Coke cans and stuff.
You say young pup now, but haven't we established? Well, you guys have established that he's actually at 28. This actor at the time. But you've been doing these for so long now that you've almost been groomed into the idea that he's much younger than he is. Hence why I've just said what
the movie's tricked us. We can't stop it. Because he's clearly written as 17, as we established. Yeah, he's a grown man with a wife and kids and a mortgage.
No, but would be remiss again. I keep saying we would be remiss. I thought it's quite appropriate actually. Because...
Have you rewatched Deadwood lately or something?
No, but weirdly enough, I'm going to mention Deadwood again in a second, because I looked into the two performers who portray the newscasters.
Oh, that'll be why that was in my mind, because I did too. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the female, the first newscaster up, is a lady called Jessica Tuck.
Jessica the Tuck Taylor, yes.
Yeah. And apparently she's quite famous. Like, she's one of these people who's like, oh, she's been around. People would know who she is. She was on, she's currently on Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland. Ah. She played Nan Flanagan in True Blood. She was Mrs. Evans in High School Musical. That's Sharpay's mum, for all the High School Musical fans out there.
Oh, we've got loads of them.
Never watched it.
You musies out there.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the first one, at least, because it was such a cultural phenomenon. It was on one day. It's like, hey, I'll check it out. And to be fair to it, that was like, the one thing, it's absolute dreck. But what you can take away from watching it, though, is like, oh, these kids are very talented, though. Cause
yeah,
it's like,
they're going for it, like, yeah.
Yeah, there's dance moves that Zac Efron's doing. I'm like, holy crap, that kid can dance. That ain't nothing. So, fair play to them.
Doing the best with what they're given.
She was one of the leads of Judging Amy, which is just one of those classic Sunday afternoon, like, oh, it's on about 5 p.m. Yeah, Judging Amy's on.
Sequel to Chasing Amy, yes.
It's like, we chased Amy, we caught her, now we're judging her. Then the follow-up season was called Sentencing Amy.
That one's the crossover with Judge Dredd, isn't it?
And of course, then the tragic final season was called Executing Amy.
the dark tale.
One thing though, John, I know this will get your attention. She was in Secretary with Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
I was trying to think what I recognised her from. It probably is Secretary then. Although I did sometimes watch Judging Amy because it was one of those things that was just on, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of those things. If those shows are good enough, just stick with them. Because that's how I came across like the Gilmore Girls. Essentially, it was on like it was always on a Sunday afternoon, and then most of those things like Seventh Heaven and stuff like that, you just be like, oh, that's terrible.
Touched by an Angel.
Exactly, yeah. And then the Gilmore Girls was like, ooh, this is actually pretty good. I'm enjoying this one. So,
but none of them are as good as Secretary, which is a masterpiece, and I argue the most romantic movie ever made.
It's a good film. I don't know if it's the most romantic movie ever made, but it's a very good film.
It is.
And there's definite love there.
It's love. That's the most important thing, yeah. It's not just being titillating.
Like 50 Shades.
Like 50 Shades is like, let's do a crap knockoff that tries to be extra dirty, but actually fails miserably at every single thing it's trying to do.
It even has the same name and everything.
He's got the same surname, hasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Christian Grey.
I thought, though, John, when you paused there, you were just saying, like, it just tries to be extra. I was like, yep, it is very
just
extra.
leave it at that, yeah.
But, so, of course, once again, I would be remiss if we didn't mention, of course, Maggie Gyllenhaal was in Secretary, and, of course, she was in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah,
So,
everything's connected.
There it is. Jessica Tuck also would be liable to appear on I Do Declare, my planned side podcast about films with exclamation points in the title, because she's in a film called Angels, baby.
Wow, what a name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently that is a movie that co-stars some guy called Ant.
That's it.
It's Ant. And it's not even like from Ant and Dec. It's just some asshole called Ant.
No, it's an ant. It's the Ant from Ant movie. No, Ant movie. I meant Ants. I'm thinking of B movie. So
Same film.
I'm thinking of bloody B movie because we reviewed B movie for April Fool's Day.
Fans of Seinfeld will also know her. She was Bonnie. She was George's girlfriend at one point. Mm-hmm. She's one from the infamous episode. It won't try to describe the entire plot because with Seinfeld, of course, it's very, very intricate. But it's the one where George tries this whole, like, I believe the term is menage a trois. It's a scheme he has going to get a guy chucked out of her apartment. And of course, because it's Seinfeld and it's George, it backfires horribly on him. And again, she was also in something called Who Shot Pat with Sandy Bullock. So that's got a question mark in it, which I guess that would be the side project to I Do Declare. Would be like question mark movies.
And that's a sequel to the movie about the SNL character, Pat.
So you're just going to do basically like films with punctuation in, like ellipsis and things?
No, it's got to be an exclamation mark.
Yeah, it was... I enjoy the exclamation mark.
The side one would be a question mark.
Yeah, but they can be the Patreon ones. Yeah.
Mm. See, ellipsis, though, is a bit too common, because then you get into, like, you know, Blood Hunters, Dark Rain, and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm not reviewing that. But, you know, it's Pat's sequel, Who Shot Pat, which, of course, turns out it was Amy. And that's why she was getting chased and then judged and then executed. So, all starring Jessica Tuck here.
We've written a masterpiece here. This is going to be our sort of defining moment in history.
But of course, all the Deadwood stuff, that's not... Jessica Tuck was not in Deadwood. But the other guy here, Philip Moon, he was in Deadwood. He was Lee.
I don't remember him at all, but, you know, it's a long time ago, this film.
He is in True Detective as well. I can't remember who he is in that, though. I can't think of his character. It is season 1 he's in as well, right?
Yeah. Well, it's just like, oh, he could have been, you know, unless he's McConaughey or Woody Harrelson or Alexandra Daddario. It's kind of like, well, there was a bunch of other people in that show, that's for sure. But
he's also in that show, I think the original one, Tales of the City. But I don't know if he's in the new one.
That's like the most... It sounds like a really boring follow-up to Tales from the Crypt. It's like... This is like the Crypt Master going to the bank and stuff.
The Crypt Master moves to the big city.
Is it more Leprechaun in the Hood, you know?
Yeah. That'd be great. Mixed with... Is it George of the Jungle where he goes into the big city at one point?
He certainly goes out of the jungle.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Yeah, and they try and turn him into like a man, like a modern man. You know, he moves back to the jungle. Yeah,
Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee.
The one thing people might genuinely recognize him for is that he's one of Jackie Treehorn's goons in The Big Lebowski. So he's one of the guys who picks up, Jeff Bridges at one point, takes him to the the Jackie Treehorn's house and the whole Jackie Treehorn treats objects like women, man, and all that stuff. So that might be the one thing where oh yeah, I do know that guy.
Yeah.
But that's the rest of his credits are all he's in A Wing and a Prayer as someone called Beastmaster. Oh, okay.
I want that to be my name. So we should probably talk about the thing at the end. The very last thing that happens, of course, we have Bruce. He cannot figure out the riddle. And Alfred seems to think that's hilarious for some reason. He's a cheeky swine. That's why they call him the Riddler. Shut up.
It looks
I don't see you helping.
It kind of looks like he's leaning back in a chair with his feet up as well.
Yeah, deliberately being cocky.
Like you say, though, he does his ironing, his washing, his cooking. He's you can think, you've got to use your brain for this stuff, mate. I just press the buttons.
If you want to give me some extra pay, then I might take a look at it.
Yeah. Let me buy another little prop for my ironing board,
Oh, if you get me that new attachment I wanted, sir, then...
Alfred, you've already got the sleeves thing. You got the things to put on your sleeves. You got an antennae to hold up the cord. How many goddamn things does an ironing board need?
I need that thing to iron the socks.
It'd be like something off Inspector Gadget.
Yes. Oh, he could have played Inspector Gadget if he did an aged-up Inspector Gadget.
Let's not go there. It's going to be too long.
Aged up Inspector Gadget. Like a Zimmer frame pops out of his hands or something every time he walks.
Go, Alfred, go.
Yes.
Who does that thing? The opening credits is him undoing the safe and Pat Ingles inside as Commissioner Gordon.
Oh my God. We are the best writers Hollywood has never had. Come on.
I just really want to have someone now do I'll get you next time, Alfred. Alfred has his entire other sideshow that Bruce. That's why, as Inspector Gadget, if he was in Inspector Gadget mode, he would have figured all this out ages ago.
Yeah.
But Bruce is pacing around I don't know what this could be.
But then again, his pose, as you say, sitting back like that, I get the impression he has figured it out, and he's just not telling him.
To be fair, though, it's not that so much that Bruce hasn't figured out this riddle. He knows what the riddle spawns. But it's just why, what are all the connections between all these things?
Several riddles.
The grand riddle.
Yeah.
The grand riddle.
Although, can I ask about the taking off his glasses thing? Because he takes them off and he's walking up and down and holding them and sort of chewing them. Do people do that in real life outside of films? I feel like it's a film way of showing someone's thinking.
Yeah. I do it at work, but usually when I just want to stop paying attention to what someone's saying. So it looks like I'm really thinking and considering what they're saying, but actually it's so I can go into my own world and not see anything.
I always find it's just because when people... I've never seen anyone do it in real life. And I think a lot of the time it's because when you're paying for your own glasses, you ain't damaging them by chewing the goddamn ends.
No. Expensive.
If anything, I push the middle up. I'm not taking them off my face. I'm pushing them further on.
Yeah.
See, you guys are all glasses wearers, I'm not. However, I will just put in here, and you can edit this out. My favourite use of glasses in film is still a man swinging a bird off his glasses. So he took the glasses off.
Say the movie.
I don't know. I can't remember what the film is. What's it from?
I need to know now.
George of the Jungle, of course, has Brendan Fraser.
Is it an Ed Wood
It's
movie?
an Ed Wood movie, isn't it? Bride of the Monster.
So he takes it. Yeah, I think it is. So he takes his glasses off. He turns them to the side, so as if the glass bit is, I don't even know how to describe this in the medium.
Basically, you did describe it. He puts a bird on his glasses and swings them as if it's a toy.
Like it's a little thing in a cage.
To make the bird happy, and it's the weirdest thing.
It's
amazingly
mesmerising and hypnotic, but so strange.
And it has no bearing or relevance or anything to do with the scene. Nobody even comments on it.
Yeah, it's just zoomed in for ages, isn't it? Just this man with the...
I don't remember that moment. I need to rewatch Bride of the Monster.
I think it's Bride of the Monster. Then again, we've seen every
That
Ed
or
Wood
Plan
movie.
9, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be one of the two.
I don't know. He made it. We've seen all of his ones that weren't porn. Can I just specify? Because he did start doing porn towards the end.
I saw them all. I saw the porns too. The porns were the best ones.
Go and watch it if you want. I have no objections to it. Feel free.
Brendan Fraser's in one of them, actually. Weirdly.
Okay.
But that's the thing, though, with Ed Wood. I made a joke, in the Star Wars Minute Society. I keep wanting her to be a more pronounced character. Because I keep wanting to make the joke up from Ed Wood when he's doing, the Dr. Acula. But because now in the Star Wars comics, there's a character called Dr. Aphra. And it's like, every time I see the name, I'm like, Dr. Aphra, to do the little hand motion thing. I was like, she has to become more popular so I can make that joke to more people.
I know. Like, I think only weirdo nerds who've read the comics know who she is.
I'll guarantee, though, I'm backing Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
Just give that character, just give her a show, get friggin' Aquafina in to play her.
They will.
There you go. You got a hit in your hands. But, oh well, that's Star Wars Minute material, really.
Yeah, we should probably head off into the dark night. And we will see you again on Friday. In the meantime, come buy a t-shirt on TeePublic. What else should they do now? I don't know. Send a message on Instagram. We don't ask you to message us on Instagram often. We are at the Batminute.
I would recommend people write into the email as well, because we don't get a lot of emails anymore, but when we used to get them quite a bit.
Well, because we did go through a period of plugging it, and then we stopped. That's why.
Yeah. Like, we got a really nice one at the end of the last season from some guy who was like, through various things was a bit of a shut-in and stuff. Had to stay in to take care of his family, and he's just talking about how much he enjoyed the show and stuff. It really made my day when he sent that. So
that was lovely.
That was nice to see.
I sometimes, this is going to sound sad, sometimes I go and read that in the saved box in the email. But
That's very Alan Partridge of you. Sorry.
Well, so do that, everybody. And we will be back on Friday with more Bat Minute Forever. And also the answer to the riddle. Join us then.
Next time, skeletons in the silver closet. A perusing pubescent pecks at a padlocked passageway before being beckoned by a butler to be on his way. Elsewhere, Nigma turns magnet and markets his device, but will his 3D pièce de résistance put Wayne Tech on ice? Find out Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.